New year, fresh start, time to recreate myself. What will I find when I walk down this path? New friends, new goals, new challenges to be met. I will meet them and I am going to succeed. New year, fresh start, it's time for self-discovery.
Episode 3. The Tools They Need.
I'm home.
Samuel opened his sleepy eyes, let out a long yawn, and then focused his attention onto Noah. His vulpine face carried the same sarcastic, cooler-than-thou expression he usually displayed. From the looks of it, Samuel had been curled up into a ball on his couch.
Damn, what time is it?
The fox stood up, stretched, and twisted his body about. Little pops sprung up from his idle joints.
Why are you so fucking late? I fell asleep waiting for your inconsiderate ass.
I had detention. Sorry.
Detention? What'd you do today? Damn, motherfucker. What'd I tell you about keeping a low profile?
Noah laughed a little, and Samuel even guffawed as he hopped from the couch.
I wasn't the one in trouble this time. I had to proctor detention for a student.
Then why do you look troubled? I recognize that look anywhere. You've been thinking about something. Spill it. What's up?
Noah moved toward the kitchen.
I'll start dinner, and then we can talk about it while we're eating.
Samuel let out another prolonged yawn.
All right, hurry up, though. I can feel my stomach starting to wake up, too.
It took a little more than 45 minutes to finish with preparing dinner, especially since Noah had to prepare 2 meals. Samuel sat before a plate of seared salmon, pork chunks, and some mashed potatoes, while Noah placed a bowl full of salad and other veggies in front of his place at the small coffee table. Noah had also seared some tofu, Brussels sprouts, radishes, turnips, and asparagus, and placed it all on a bed of romaine lettuce.
So, tell me more about this detention.
Samuel bent down and started picking up some of the pork chunks with his teeth.
Well, as I mentioned, I had to proctor detention for a student. A single demon student.
The fox chewed a mouthful of delicious food and then swallowed. His black tongue wrapped around the edges of his lips.
Oh, yeah? What'd the kid do? Vandalize the school or something? And why the hell were you asked to do it? Is it because you're the new guy?
Actually, the demon student got into a fight with 4 other mage blood students. I'm not sure what happened to them, but I assume since they were older, they got a more severe punishment.
One demon kid fought against 4 mage bloods. That motherfucker has some balls. Still, he may get his ass beat later on.
That's what I'm afraid of. He's a nice kid. Actually, he fought them to save one of his female peers.
Another demon?
Actually, I think she's a Jinn student.
Noah stuffed a mass of green leafy food into his mouth. After he chewed and swallowed, he continued.
She had a magical aura similar to the Sheikah of Donabe.
A sudden and warm grin smeared across Samuel's face. When combined with his vulpine features, he looked almost menacing.
You mean Iska? Damn, I miss her.
Oh, yeah. You two were lovers once. I forgot. Ugh, it's still weird to me.
Why, motherfucker? Don't forget I can shapeshift when I damn well please.
I've not forgotten. But I can't help but wonder if you two ever...
Okay, 1, the fact that you're imagining your best friend and the hot-ass genie lady going at it when I look like this means you're a fucking freak.
Samuel bent down and bit into the salmon. He chewed it delightfully and then swallowed.
And 2, Iska was a fucking freak too.
Anyway, I feel bad for the student because I know that the Mage Bloods are going to go after him when there aren't teachers or SHMA members around. Once that does happen, I'm concerned that things are going to become deadly. As great as Arceados Academy is, it's plagued with racism and elitism.
Welcome to the goddamn world. That shit exists everywhere. And so this demon kid better learn to have thicker skin. Otherwise, he's gonna drown in his frustration. Still, you're probably right about him getting attacked again. Okay. Even though you're a teacher, it doesn't mean you should do what I know you're thinking about doing. I'm warning you, bitch. Don't fucking do it. It's a slippery slope, and you're about to slide head first like a fucking dumbass. Seriously.
Noah grinned.
Don't smirk at me, motherfucker.
Samuel stood up on all fours.
It's a stupid-ass idea. Don't.
But what if I do it secretly, and make him promise not to tell where he got it?
And how the fuck are you gonna do that? He's a fucking teenager. He's gonna talk. That's what they do. If even one of them finds out you're here, you're gonna be a very popular person. Last I checked, you didn't want that, dumbass.
You know how I am. I can't just sit by and do nothing.
Man, this is Kim Dona all over again. Why the fuck do you always have to play the motherfucking hero?
He scarfed down the last of the salmon and chewed and swallowed it rapidly.
Do whatever you want to, man. You dumbass bitch. You always do anyway, hell.
Samuel walked away from the table and moved toward the bedroom. He stopped in the doorway and looked back over his Volpine shoulder.
When this shit goes badly for you, and it will, motherfucker, I get to choose the next place we live, bitch.
Noah grinned, channeled magic into his lips, and began speaking arcane phrases. A savage weight pressed in on Noah's mind as he walked on the sidewalk, just as he had the past 2 mornings. Despite Samuel's strong warning, Noah had made it. It was going to help, or at the very least, it was going to give young Seto Gaizo a fighting chance. The more he thought about it, the more intense the conflict waged within him. On one hand, giving it to Seto would be providing him the tool he needed to keep himself and those he cared for safe. On the other hand, was he going too far? Again? Perhaps teaching was the wrong profession for him. Noah desperately wanted to help, but his solutions often deviated from what a normal teacher would do. Noah Cruz was anything but normal, nor could he ever be, even though he tried really hard. The breeze was cooler than it had been the previous couple of mornings. How soon would it be before autumn took hold of the land, heralding the coming of a crisp winter? Noah loved autumn the best. The colors of the changing leaves always ignited his soul with vibrance, and the auras of the closing chapters caressed his appreciation of and longing for a brilliant spring. Something caught his eye, and he stopped at the mouth of an alleyway. Any sparkle of splendor related to the morning snapped away, and a cold, metallic shiver danced up his spine. A group of young people huddled in the alley, with their backs turned to him. They wore the Arceados Academy uniforms. He couldn't hear anything, and yet a flimsy ribbon of dread wavered in him. Noah walked down the alley with confident strides. Much to his dismay, he found Seto and Kachina in the middle of the group. Aggressive snarls covered the other 6 students' faces, and one of the offenders had been the mouthy mageblood from his Arcanite Foundations class, whose name was Phaedron. There were 5 other mageblood thugs with Phaedron.
What's going on here?
All at once, the students turned to regard him. The mageblood students narrowed their eyes in brutal contempt. A sense of relief washed over Kachina's face, and she smiled at him. Seto just glared at the surrounding bullies.
We're not in school, so you don't really have jurisdiction here, demon lover. You also don't have protection either. I suggest you walk away before you get hurt.
It was an accident, but the old Noah stepped forth and took control. A deadly seriousness coated his words, and the air itself chilled even colder in the expanse of the alley. His voice resonated with intense power, and his body began glowing with a faint, silvery light.
That would be the last mistake you ever make, boy.
Noah snapped back into focus and realized what he said and what he was doing. The silver shimmering stopped, but he maintained his hard stare at the Mageblood bullies. Aside from Phaedron, the other Mageblood students gaped at him with confused horror. In the moment of Noah's aggression, a small peak of what he once was rippled in the air. It was such a small display of power, and not enough to bypass the obscuring nature of his magic ring, but enough to draw the students' attention. Phaedron's jaw was clenched so tightly, and small seeds of rage still existed in his eyes. The seeds were buried beneath a sea of frightened tension. Even Kachina and Seto cowered a little. They huddled together like rabbits, and they were both watching him exclusively.
I suggest you all run on to school. Now!
Without saying another word, the 6 Mageblood students, including Phaedron, walked past Noah and out of the alley. They averted their eyes from him as they did so. When Seto and Kachina made a motion to do the same, Noah held up his hand and gestured for them to wait. They did so, but they still cowered a little. Once they were alone, Noah asked,
Are you two okay? Did they hurt you?
For a moment, Kachina glanced at him critically, but then she licked her lips nervously.
That power you displayed, it was so intense. I've never felt a power like that, especially not from a Mageblood. Where did you learn magic like that?
Noah simply let out an amused sort of chuckle and then rubbed the back of his head.
I learned some pretty powerful arcane secrets when I went to graduate school. That's why you should go to college.
We're fine. They were talking a lot of crap, but I would have kicked all of their asses if they tried hurting Kachina.
Well, I'm glad you came when you did, Mr. Cruz. They had us outnumbered, and they were intent on really hurting Seto. I'm not great at using my magic for tense situations like this, and so I probably would have been more of a burden than anything.
Seto turned to her and placed a hand on her shoulder.
I don't want you to get involved, okay? Those guys could really hurt you.
And why shouldn't I get involved? Because I'm a girl? Are you saying I'm a delicate flower that needs to be guarded?
She poked Seto in the chest a couple of times.
Are you saying I'm powerless and weak?
I'm not saying that.
Kachina poked him again.
Maybe it's you who needs to be protected. Have you ever thought about that? I don't like confrontation, and I try to avoid it when I can. Usually it's fine because I've become quite good at just blowing people off when they annoy me. I can't stand it when people try to hurt my friends, though. I won't stand by and let you fight my battles for me, nor will I watch you fight alone.
She locked gazes with Seto.
Never discount me again, okay?
Okay. You're right. I'm really sorry.
Don't be sorry. Just have faith in me as a person and let me stand beside you.
Just then, Kachina and Seto noticed Noah watching them, an amused smirk on his face. In their exchange, they forgot he was there. A deep crimson covered both of their cheeks, and they averted their eyes away from him, and from one another.
Okay. 1, you two are adorable. And 2, perhaps there's something I can do to help.
Seto frowned for a moment, and then let out a brief, heavy sigh.
Thanks for the offer, but that's not something I want. I'm a strong
He paused and peeked at Kachina.
strong person, and I need to fight my own battles without having a teacher constantly keep leaping into the fray to save the day.
Kachina grinned wider.
I agree with you, and I'm not offering to continuously come to your aid. What I am offering you is a chance to close the gap between you and students who have had more arcane practice under their belts. By all accounts, it's a tool. Would you be willing to accept a tool?
A tool? I guess that would be okay.
Before I give this to you, you have to promise me that you're not going to tell anyone where you got it. Okay? And I also recommend only using it when you need it.
Okay, I won't tell anyone.
Neither will I.
Noah took off his suit jacket, which caused the students to peer oddly at him. Seto's expression became a little more apprehensive when Noah started rolling up one of his shirt sleeves.
What are you doing?
It's not what it looks like. I stored the tool on my arm until I could give it to you.
On your arm? What kind of tool is this?
Noah rolled up the sleeve of one of his arms. A silver tattoo sparkled on the inside of his forearm, in the shape of a sword. Noah touched it and said,
Sablo, I summon you.
A silvery nimbus of light swirled around Noah's hand, and a bright ball of energy appeared within the space between his grip. Rods of light stretched from either end of the ball. The rod on the bottom extended about a foot, while the rod on the top grew between 3 to 4 feet in length. The shape of the energy swirled, warped, and then flattened. When the light faded, Noah held an ornate broadsword with an elaborate thin guard and a circular pommel. Seto's eyes widened.
Whoa! You can't be serious! That's not a tool! That's a weapon!
A weapon is a tool, one that can be used for destruction or protection.
He gestured the hilt of the sword towards Seto.
This is Sablo, a magic broadsword that will help you protect the ones you care for.
Where did you get it?
I made it. Last night, actually.
He wiggled the sword a little at Seto.
Will you accept this gift?
For a brief moment, Seto studied the blade in Noah's hands, and then locked gazes with him.
Are you sure?
Yes. I thought long and hard about this last night after I constructed Sablo, and I still feel resolute in my choice to give it to you.
Seto reached out and grasped the blade's hilt. As soon as he held it, a silvery aura covered Seto's body. A small glyph appeared on his forearm, and Seto gazed at it wonderingly.
Whoa, what's going on?
Don't worry. Sablo is integrating with your body, and when it's not in use, it will look like a silver tattoo. If you don't like it on your forearm, you can always will it somewhere else.
Will it somewhere else? That's crazy!
I've never seen magic like that. You mentioned the broadsword is magical, yeah?
Yes, Sablo is magical. While it's active, Seto will be able to sense everything around him with greater clarity, and he'll have way better reaction time and speed.
What? Really?
Yes, but there is one stipulation with Sablo. Sablo is a bane against evil creatures. The blade will burn those who have evil in their hearts, and it will not allow itself to perform acts of cruelty, slaughter, or darkness.
Seto turned the blade several times and examined it.
The fact that you can hold it shows that you're not an evil person.
Of course I'm not. Just because I'm a demon doesn't mean I'm evil.
I never said it did. I know all too well that evil can come in all forms and races. I'm glad that you're not evil. Should you ever do any horrid acts with it, even once, the blade will return to me.
So, how do I dismiss it?
Just will it away.
Seto frowned, but then he closed his eyes and visually concentrated. Sablo glowed brightly for a moment and then disappeared.
Wow, that's so cool! Thank you, but are you sure?
Yes. Just remember that this needs to remain a secret between us.
Mr. Cruz? I don't suppose you have another magical tool for me to have, do you? I hate to ask, but I don't want Seto to fight alone.
Noah regarded her for a moment, and a slight tinge of discomfort flared within him. It wasn't due to her request, but something else entirely. The amount of moral ravaging he had fought through the night before had been gritty, and that was just arming one student. He had never considered arming a second.
I don't have another weapon, I'm afraid.
Kachina's shoulders sank a little.
I suppose I could make one really quick, though.
Really quick?
Have you ever used a sword before?
No, but I was on the archery team in middle school.
Archery, huh? That could work. Seto, Do me a favor and watch the mouth of the alley, okay?
Noah moved to the back of the alley, and as he walked, he gathered his magic power into his lips. Seto kept his back to the mouth of the alley, but he locked his attention on Noah. Kachina did the same. The reluctance Noah had battled with returned for another brief bout, but Noah waved it away. He was already too deep into the muck to back out now. Kachina's heart was pure, and she wanted to protect Seto just as fiercely as he wanted to protect her. Such virtue had to be honored. Noah spoke in his native tongue, and his spell took the form of a flowing silver ribbon of written script that slithered from his lips into the open air in front of him. The illuminated words spun through the air and collected together to make a long, stretched-out symbol. Noah spoke more words, and another shape started to form beside the first. Intense silver light burned within the alleyway, and both Kachina and Seto squinted at the intensity. Noah didn't have to, especially since the magic was his own. When the magic faded, a longbow made from white wood and a leather quiver with a woven strap hung in the air. Kachina gasped as Noah gestured to it.
Go on, take it. I think I'll call the bow Zapiel. The quiver doesn't really need a name, but it will serve as a repository for Zapiel.
Kachina gripped the bow and quiver, and she became engulfed in silver light momentarily.
So what does her weapon do?
Well, first of all, whenever she draws an arrow from the quiver, it becomes an arrow of light. The arrow of light will be disastrous to those who are evil. Not only that, but the quiver immediately restocks its arrows. The bow will allow you to have eagle eyes, as it were. You'll be able to see the maximum distance of the bow, which, in the case of Zapiel, is 500 yards.
500? Most longbows can't even shoot that far.
Zapiel isn't like normal bows, obviously. Also, although the structure of the bow appears to be made of wood, it's not normal wood either. It's made from holy ash, a sacred and powerful wood that can stand up to most metals. If you have to use the bow in melee combat, it will serve you as a short staff of sorts. Oh yeah, and just like Sablo, it can't be used for evil. Otherwise, it will come back to me.
Kachina bowed deeply.
Thank you. I will honor your most gracious of gifts. So, to dismiss Zapiel, do I will it in the form of a tattoo? Does it have to be a tattoo?
Well, no. It could be anything, really. A piece of jewelry would work just as well.
Kachina grinned widely, and then she closed her eyes. Zapiel flashed brightly. When the illumination ceased, Kachina had a new addition on her face. A small, plain-looking golden hoop looped around her right nostril. She regarded Seto.
What do you think?
Seto simply smiled and blushed a little. Noah checked his watch.
You all should rush to school. I'll hang back a bit so it doesn't look peculiar like we're walking together.
Right. Thank you again, Mr. Cruz. You're way cooler than I thought you'd be.
I agree with him.
Noah watched them walk out of the mouth of the alley, and his heart grew denser in weight. Had he made the right decision? Or would it be something that would bring great strife in the future?
Okay. So let me get this straight. You not only armed one high school student with an epic level weapon of war, but two? You're absolutely crazy. You know that, right? It's like you're begging to be found.
Noah lowered his gaze as he pressed himself against the back of the couch.
You're letting your sympathy get the best of you, you dumbass.
Samuel flicked his tail against the empty couch cushion beside him as he sat upright on his couch.
Do you really think that those kids aren't gonna tell people where they got their new toys?
I'm sure they won't.
Man, really? Are you? Do you know them well?
Noah glared a little.
Well, do you?
No.
So you can't be sure. You're just gonna go out on a limb on blind faith then.
They aren't evil, otherwise the weapons would have burned them.
That's not a complete failsafe, and you know it.
Samuel hopped off of the couch and moved to stand beside Noah.
Listen, It's great that they aren't evil. But we both know that horrible actions and intentions aren't strictly isolated to those who openly consider themselves villains.
Noah averted his eyes and let out a heavy sigh.
Now, I'm not trying to be a bastard, but this isn't the first time you let your heart fuck up our living situations. It isn't the 5th time either. You and I have been rolling with one another for a long ass time. And there have been other instances where the weapons you pass out have come back to you in the wake of fucked up tragedies. You know as well as I, sometimes that a person's temperament can change in an instant.
I'm fairly certain that Seto would have been killed had I not armed him.
Bitch, he still might be killed. You mentioned there were 6 of these motherfuckers trying to put the beat down on Demon Boy and Genie Girl, right? You may have just given them false hope and courage, and they might act stupid in a situation when they should have just run.
It's better to fight and die on your feet than cower in the shadows, waiting for your enemies to find you.
2 things. 1, neither of those students are warriors like you. Look at me. I was the baddest, most intense motherfucker I knew until we met. And not even I have done half the shit that you have. A weapon in your hands is completely different than a weapon in a novice's. Those 2 students aren't battle trained like you, dumbass. And 2, if you really feel it's better to stand your ground, then what the fuck have we been doing for the last 75 years?
It's different with me.
Noah reached into his shirt and pulled out a silver chain that had been hanging around his neck. A single gilded golden key hung on the chain like a pendant.
If they found this, then it would be the beginning of the end. For all worlds.
Samuel let out a loud sniff through his nostrils.
Yeah, you're right. You can't let them get access to it. Anyway, I will say this much about you. Despite my protests, you have my respect. It takes balls to stand your ground and try and improve the world around you. I just wish you didn't have to risk exposing us to the wrong motherfuckers. Again. We're lucky as fuck that they haven't caught our trail.
Noah reached out and ruffled the top of Samuel's head.
That's why I keep you around. You're a magical lucky oh shit.
Samuel's sharp teeth barely missed gripping onto Noah's hand.
Motherfucker, I'll remove your fingers if you ever do that shit to me again. I'm not your fucking pet.
Right. Sorry.
Samuel moved toward his bedroom.
I hope it works out for them and for us.
Me too.
A wicked thirst gripped at Noah's throat with unrelenting anger, and so he moved toward one of the water fountains in the hallway. As soon as the sweetly chilled water ran down his parched throat, a sense of immense relief sprung up in him. He rose from the fountain, but heard bits of conversation from some nearby students.
Are you serious? How did they lose? Weren't there like 8 of them?
Noah averted his gaze from the small cluster of students who congregated a few feet away from him. He pretended to check his briefcase while he drowned out all other sounds, aside from the group of students.
I wasn't there, but Betty was. She told me everything.
Well, get on with it then.
Okay, so check it. Some upper-level mage students were bragging about how they were going to jump the mouthy demon first year who got them in trouble. Betty and some others from class went to go watch the fight. It was supposed to be brutal since it was going to be an ambush. Well, that demon first year has been hanging around with another first year, the hood-wearing girl. They were walking home when the mage bloods attacked.
Oh, man, that's crazy. What happened?
I'm getting to that if you'd shut up. Anyway, both the first year and the hooded girl summoned these weapons and started fighting back. It was crazy. The mage bloods didn't stand a chance.
Really?
Yeah, the demon first year.
Noah moved away from the group, and he smiled broadly. As it turned out, he had made the right decision after all.